Thank you very much, Udo, for being with us this afternoon. It's 5 p.m. Central European time, so I'm happy for all of our visitors which come from anywhere around the globe. So typically we have a pretty international crowd here. This time today we have a very, let's say, European topic because it's a funding scheme, a support scheme. We would like to talk about what the European Commission is doing for the companies here in Europe. Maybe this is also interesting for companies outside of Europe to learn which kind of schemes are happening here in Europe. Udo, thank you very much for being with us. It would be a pleasure when you explain us a little bit your background. So you are such a, so experienced in that field and all these aspects of IP and supporting these companies in Austria. Tell us a little bit, how did you came into the field of IP? So and what is your legacy in that field? What you did so far and what you're doing right now?
Well, thanks for the short introduction. So actually, I was about 19 years in industry in two renowned Austrian companies. And at that time, IP for me was more from the perspective of an inventor. So in fact, I had 14 patent families with me as inventor or co-inventor. And then there was one phase where I was project coordinator, and we had a topic, EU project was granted, and we had to check whether there is any problem with one of the partners, one of the cement industry, the second largest. Yeah? And we said, let's check whether the largest has some patents. Originally, we did not find them, but then I found out that they had their own patent company under another name. And in that, there were some critical patents. And so we had to negotiate a bit before that. So that was, let's say, a jump into the cold water of some IP situations. And then there was a chance for me after also stays abroad in South Korea, etc., where IP was also important because they also wanted us to have joint patents and so on. I had the chance to change into a company which is under the umbrella of now Business Upper Austria. And we support Upper Austrian companies in all aspects of innovation. And my part was in IP. And this started 18 years ago. And since then, I took chances also to work internationally, especially as IP Help Desk Ambassador, which is now some 10 plus years ago that I started it. And this was very rewarding and a very good chance to communicate with others, to do networking on an international scale, and also to get very good IP trainings. Actually, kind of what you are organizing together with the IPO and so on, kind of such trainings were also offered for us ambassadors. And I then also took part in quite some IP-oriented European projects. The most important one maybe was VIP for SME, value intellectual property for SME. And this tells it all, that it was actually devoted to SMEs, valuing, first protecting and then valuing their IP. And there I had the chance also to establish IP, some IP tools, a toolbox, which is still available on the internet. And after that, there were several other important things. But in fact, I have to say the baseline was always that I was supporting Upper Austrian companies and mainly SMEs and startups with regard to IP, for instance, with novelty searches and counseling before patenting and so on. In the last couple of years, more and more also digital patents, as you may say, so which is also one of your hot topics, digital business models and how you can protect them. I observed that this is relevant more and more nowadays, especially with the startups. And I also, for instance, had an EU project called DGP Cube, which was also on the field of digital engineering and medicine. So medical technology combined with digital technology. This was cascade funding. So the project team had to check which of the applications gets the grants. And those who got the grants were then, among other things, also counseled by me regarding IP. We had some online things there. So therefore, this was quite a thing. And one important step, Alex, was due to you that you invited me to I3PM and to the committee IP for SMEs. And I found very acknowledged people there. I have now a pleasant time together with them to support SMEs with things. So our committee is vivid, and we have some quarterly presentation in March. So thanks for that. This offered me new perspectives and also a very interesting LinkedIn communication with a lot of hints to very interesting publications.
Yeah, I think especially that I3PM is so active on LinkedIn helps a lot to reach out to smaller companies, startups. So by the way, what is your definition of an SME? So I mean, there are so many definitions out there, so that it helps to ask, because to a certain extent it's meaning nothing or it means everything. What is your understanding? When is a company an SME?
Yeah. So especially if you go to the medium companies, I'm always a bit grinning if I see that Germany says 66,000 people or 10,000 people, still a medium company.
Yeah,
we go.
Bosch is a family-owned medium-sized company.
Yeah, family is not SME. So not most of the time. Well, now quite some time if it's bigger. No, we go for the EU definition, which says below or maximum 250 employees and maximum 50 million euro of revenue.
Okay, got you. And
so this is also actually what in all funding schemes you have this limit. And there is just sometimes the problem that SME, if it's innovative and growing, it was an SME when we first counseled them. It is not an SME later on, but you have a 2 years period where you can still see them as SME.
Yeah, got you. Okay, so one question to your bio. I heard a lot of things from IP help desk ambassadors. So obviously, we are organizing different lectures and training programs, everything with the IP help desk.
Yeah.
But what exactly is an ambassador, and what does an ambassador has to do? Because I mean, first of all, it sounds very impressive. That's for sure.
Yeah. So it requires actually to be a member of the Enterprise Europe network, which is the largest business network in the world, offering all kinds of services, but mainly such technology transfer, matching of European companies from different countries and so on. So technology partnerships is one of their biggest goals. But also advisory services like mine, like in IP. And one of the important key parameter is, for instance, if I have supported an SME with a novelty search, if they then, and also some counseling, if they then applied successfully for Austrian patent and later on for an international patent, this then, for instance, counts as a key performance indicator.
Okay, got you. Wonderful. So there are many different funding schemes, support programs from the European Commission out there. So for some SMEs, I would say it's quite confusing. So they are surrounded by friends, but
Yeah,
it is not clear which friend for what exactly. So
exactly.
could you explain us a little bit? So, which schemes are out there to raise awareness about IP for SMEs, which are available and which make sense, or which are completely rubbish? I don't know. I mean, just
Yeah, yeah.
ask.
So actually, the one project or program which I was reporting in your IP management bulletin number 3. This is actually has just finished end of last year. The Horizon IP scan. This supported SMEs which were entering Horizon programs. But you still have, for instance, for those who have already been there and
Yeah,
have successful results, you have the Horizon results booster and the Horizon results platform, which are meant especially for SMEs that they can then make kind of technology offers on this platform and find partners or, for instance, licensees and so on via this way. Actually, this is a bit resembles also what one of the goals of Enterprise Europe Network is. Also there you have a big database containing technology offers, technology requests, which are more successful, but seldom that the company really asks who has a solution for this and this problem. And so there is a bit of let's say doubling of some things, but still this Horizon results booster is especially devoted to SMEs from Horizon programs, and definitively is a good thing. Then you have, as a support for SMEs, these IP scan services, not the Horizon IP scan, which I was also in, but different IP scan services all over Europe. Actually, there is a European kind of such IP scan, which is funded by the European IP European Union Intellectual Property Office, the EUIPO in Alicante. And then there are quite some countries like Germany and Austria who have own schemes. In Germany, it's the DPMA, the patent office, together with the PITS, with the patent information centers. In Austria, we have a support which is called Discover IP, and which is done by the patent office, the Austrian patent office, together with economy agency, the Austria Wirtschaftsservice, and they, for instance, because this service I know better, I have also been there once or twice, and they are really looking at the IP situation of a company from all different perspectives, not only IPR, but also, for instance, what is secret knowledge, what are trade secrets in the company, and so on, or
So very
what they should
comprehensive.
consider. It's very comprehensive actually, and this is also very important. And maybe one comment to what you said, there is such a lot of things out there, funding and so on. We always call it the funding jungle, yes, and this is the same with general funding. That you need help actually to find the best fit for your needs, and therefore among all these programs which are offered also on the web and so on, quite often you observe that SMEs, maybe they read about it, but they don't really go for it unless they have somebody counseling them and telling them this is something which is exactly for you. And therefore, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that is maybe one of the jobs of the task from ambassadors or Enterprise Europe, that
Exactly.
even when the individual person or the individual case don't fits really to what's right now on stage, but these guys they can help through the jungle and can help to get the right meeting with the right person who can really help. I guess this to get an overview and to get a guideline through the jungle.
And they or we can also help them, for instance, with hints to funding schemes. I would like to mention a very important funding scheme, which actually came from the IP Action Plan, which was started in 2020, and which then led to a lot of these initiatives we spoke about, and also to, for instance, this SME fund from the EU-IPO, which funds, for instance, 75% of trademark application costs. And nowadays, since last year, also patenting costs, for instance, on a European scale and so on, are also funded by this. And all this actually came from this IP Action Plan. And I had the pleasure, together with some other ambassadors and quite some other people, to be there at one of these important meetings where they said, okay, what is the need of the SMEs? What can we do? And so on. So therefore, I had kind of an initial idea about what is going to come. And I then also took part in quite some of the initiatives, and I counsel the SMEs about others that they really should take advantage of these funding schemes.
Yeah, and also of these, when we use the structure of I3PM, which is a real global activity, you can really bring people together from around the world when it's necessary to explain them what's going on in Australia or South of Asia or in Latin America. One question about these awareness things. So we talk a lot about that. So also I'm talking about that with the HTPC initiative from Licensing Executive Society and the EPO together. And then I learned from these guys that, be careful with awareness. Awareness building is such an issue, because when the problem is when you rise awareness, and then nothing comes, there's no follow-up. So you rise awareness, and then there's a big hole, a big nothing in terms of okay, and now I know now I have a problem, but what should I do? Or I have a challenge or whatever. So is there a certain follow-up? Is there a kind of funnel or a trail which you can follow? Or is it just, okay, I make you aware and then that's it?
I think part of the awareness scheme is also that they give you an overview of existing further opportunities if they get to this and this point. So this is a bit of part of the scheme. But I think very important is always to get SME in contact with those things, because there are quite many innovative SMEs out there who have not yet taken advantage from things. I experienced some of them my own. They also then made mistakes in trademark application. It was too descriptive, and they got let's say it refused and so on. And then I said, well, if we would have looked at it before, I could have told you the same thing and recommended to do it a bit differently.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
and therefore our agency, Business Up Austria, has the advantage. We are some, I would say, almost 170 people now, and we are counseling companies in all different aspects, also via clusters and so on. And therefore, we have a lot of contact points with SMEs at various points of their development. And if for instance, a colleague realizes, okay, this SME would have demand in IP counseling, then they forward them to me. And the
yeah,
same thing is, for instance, and this is also, I think, very important and helpful, that I have a lot of such counseling advices with startups from our business incubator in the house. Tech2B is very successful in supporting startups, and or even people who are intending to found a company, not yet have founded a company. And then very often they say, go to Udo and and check about novelty, or how you should proceed with IP. And
yeah,
and
yeah.
in such cases, they get, let's say, a good package of IP knowledge from the start.
Yeah, get you. So when it so in what my understanding is from what you wrote on the newsletter and on the blog. So what I understand is that there is an interview, an online interview, as a part of this Horizon IP scan project. So can you explain us
Exactly.
first what exactly is the purpose of this Horizon IP scan?
Yeah. I mean, I had to mention, or I mentioned already, it is just over now, so we cannot apply, or the SMEs cannot apply anymore for it. But the scheme is quite similar to other projects. Nowadays, you often use online interviews. For instance, I also did it in the mentioned DGP Scan project, where I also counseled SMEs all over Europe.
Yes.
And therefore it's not possible anymore to make such business trips and so on. So it's a good method to make online interviews. And the same thing was in Horizon IP Scan, but there it was quite comprehensive. We had a pre-interview where the scene was set, so to say. The problems were described and so on, or the demand. And then I and other such advisors then prepared for the main interview. Just to give one example, which was also quite new for me, there was an Austrian company who was in a big EU project with a focus on Africa. And it was about kind of innovative agriculture and so on, which should also cater for the need of such communities, not the high tech agriculture we have in Europe. And they actually then had the plan uh, to apply for patents in different African countries. And
Okay.
I learned that this is not so easy. So some of these countries you can reach via the normal PCT process, where a lot of countries follow this process. But others, for instance, they have a kind of an African patent office or African patent organization, and you go via this OAPI. This is just one example. I had to prepare it. I had to learn myself about the situation, and then I could explain it in the main interview. And afterwards, clearly there was kind of finishing with sending documents about it and so on, and also some satisfaction report had to be filled in by the SME.
But as you
I
said,
really, yeah,
Udo, as you said, the program is more or less over. So that means you have, I don't
exactly,
know,
exactly.
hundreds and thousands of this kind of interviews. So is there a certain learning out of it? So
Yes.
can we get the juice? What exactly are the let's say main takeaways
Yeah.
from this effort?
So the main takeaways are, for instance, for SMEs, it's really quite a challenge. If they enter a big Horizon Europe project, they face big companies with patent attorneys, lawyers, and so on. And nowadays, most of the, for instance, a very crucial thing is the consortium agreement, because the grant agreement only
What does that mean?
yeah, the consortium agreement really then defines how the consortium itself works. And for instance, one important topic is, if you are dealing with universities and companies, universities always want to publish, to have papers. Companies want to check before whether something is not patented, or whether something is in their trade secret, let's say, area, and they don't want to have it published. But they cannot say you cannot publish at all. Yeah, this is also no way. And therefore, one of the parts of a good consortium agreement is, for instance, description of this process, tell the invention, or tell the idea, or tell, let's say, the wish to publish something to the others, give them the details, what you want to publish, and then they have some time, some defined time to react, to make patent searches, for instance, or to check whether they want to have a patent on part of it. And then publishing had to wait until the patent is drafted and applied, and then they can publish. And in other cases, in many other cases, they can do it. But I faced quite some cases in my career, IP career, where there were publications which destroyed a patent afterwards.
Yeah, that's a big issue. I mean, just a second, Udo. I like to listen to you, but what I realize right now is that we have some new visitors in our show, and they don't know that we are live for the reason that you can ask questions. So, dear visitors, audience, we are very happy to pick up your questions. So just write it in the chat under this event, and then I will read that. I see it. I can pick up. I can ask Udo when it anyhow fits in our program. I'm happy to do so. So other learnings from that. So this is a pretty well-known problem. Publication against exclusivity, patented exclusivity.
One other topic which was quite often in the center of this counseling is the correct description of background. You have to describe your background for such a program draft. You also have to consider what others could need from it, and those things which are relevant for the project, the others can use free of charge during the project, and for fair and reasonable and non-discriminating conditions also after the project.
What do you mean with background?
Yeah, background is, for instance, which, I mean, one easy thing is which patents you have, but also which knowledge you have, which is not its core trade secret, but experiences you have. And those you have to give others for the best of the project that they can build on
But
it
background
and
is
use.
knowledge, right?
Yeah,
Background is
yeah, yeah.
knowledge, and it is
Background is knowledge. Yeah, yeah.
and
And
this
in
is
one
knowledge
case,
which
yeah,
you had already before the project began, right?
exactly, exactly. And
Okay.
and for instance, we had one case which was also puzzling for me, that one partner did not disclose any background. And then, for instance, I elaborated together with the SME that they had this and this publications, this and this patents, and so on. And I said, you don't have to accept it that they just tell nothing. You can, if you need something, you can tell them. You definitely have a knowledge in that, and please give it to me. So this was one of the cases where I think such recommendations foster the stance of the SME then.
But isn't that so, that simply the difference between the so-called background and foreground
Yeah,
know-how
yeah,
in
yeah.
such corporations, that this is something which is really, let's say, difficult to deal with it for an
Mm,
SME, and where
mm,
somebody should counseling, because
mm.
otherwise, yeah, as you said, the
Yeah, yeah,
one thing is you don't get a patent at all. On the other hand, you lose know-how, but because
yeah,
it's gone away
yeah, yeah,
on a misunderstanding of foreground and background know-how. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
that means a certain support should definitely be given to these SMEs, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that was actually the focus of this project. But clearly, such support is also given in various other kinds, with advisors like me and others. But for instance, a third topic which I wanted to mention is um, the topic of joint foreground, of jointly elaborated foreground. And this is always also something which could lead to quarrels unless you have good preparation and rules, because um, joint results is actually something which the EU wants clearly, but you still have to regulate. Okay, if you have something patentable, who patents it? But the others also have to pay and so on. It's if they want to have a stake in it, because they have collaborated and they have also contributed ideas, so they want to be on it. But for instance, it's one good approach that you say the company which really is best suited to bring it to the market, they actually should own, or let's say own the
Yeah,
patent, but have let's say be the proponents for the patent, but the others, depending on the amount of contribution, they should also get, for instance, some fees from it.
yeah. Okay, got you. License, right? So
Some
a
license,
kind of
exactly, because
remuneration, not a
yeah,
fee.
yeah, it's a
Okay,
remuneration.
okay, got you.
Because you're right, because this follows the scheme that during the project, no license fees. You can use whatever the others have told you. After the project, if you want to have a commercial exploitation, you have to take a license.
Yeah, got you. So there is a general assumption, especially at the European Commission, but I know that from lots of other governments, that even in scientific literature we can read that SMEs are characterized by the fact that they don't make, or quite often they don't make, an optimal use out of their IP. So they are full of
Yeah.
it, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it is a question. So which one you want to formalize, which one you want
Yeah.
to take as a trade secret. So this managing, dealing, and utilization of IP is a big issue, because I mean you need a certain education training for it,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
certain understanding.
Yeah.
What is your experience out of your enormous time which you spend with that companies, with this underutilization, and on the other hand, what could we do to improve that?
Mm. Well, I would take the chance to let's say describe what we did soon after I entered CAT, which was a daughter of Business Up Austria. We had FFG, so Austrian Funding Agency funded project, which also had other targets clearly, but one of the targets was to study the IP situation of SMEs. And we made a big, let's say, online questionnaire and also direct interviews with quite some of them. What are your reasons why you don't use IP more often? And the most cited reason was that the CEO or the chief of the company said he does not have enough time.
Yeah.
He is responsible, but he is lacking of time. And the second thing is this notion that it costs a lot, is very complicated, is not, let's say, valid against the attacks of big companies. This is also one of the notions of smaller companies, and all about this. And also then that they say we don't have the time and the money and so on. But we explained them then, if you don't protect your IP, it costs you much more than if you do something. Because if you lose, let's say, an innovation due to copying from a bigger company because you have not protected it, that's amazing. And the result of this, and the second one, actually, it was so successful that this funding agency said, wouldn't you like to apply for a second one, a follow-up, and so on? And from these two projects, we developed two intensive IP trainings, which we did ever since, most of the year, 2 times a year. COVID was a difficulty. And where we, for instance, had one goal, that people from the company, not the CEO, somebody from production, from R&D and so on, he should be the one knowledged in IP, and make a first check, and also give some advice to his colleagues and so on. And they were then, for instance, quite some of such people were actually taking part in our IP training with very good feedback.
Got you. Yeah, thank you very much for the
Yeah, my
moment.
pleasure.
Yeah, but it was a little a bumpy start, but then we really came into the topic. So I have one recommendation to all of you. Oh, there is a question from Stefan Zeuner. I would like to bring it before we
Yeah,
stop.
sure.
We should talk about it. He says he has despite having caution before filing, thinking about whether filing or not. I don't get the point, Stefan. Could you be a little bit more?
Maybe
Yeah,
I can jump in because
yeah,
I
please.
think I understood his question.
Okay.
This is always a topic that it's not always the best solution to patent something. And it depends on a good advice to quite often to find the right way. Yeah, there are some situations where you should not patent it. For instance, if you cannot really prove afterwards that the other company has made it like that, because you don't have the market survey, because you don't have the means, if such a thing is not detectable at the product, but is only something which happens during production. The patent is about how it is made. So this is and for instance, then also something which would disclose a lot of your ideas without really offering you the chance to stop the others. Yeah. So a clear approach, for instance, is if it can be detected at the product, what is the innovative feature on it? And nowadays, you have a lot of re-engineering capabilities. So if you can do re-engineering, you should protect it. If it is something which is a lot of, let's say, tacit knowledge in there, which you cannot really see at the product and so on, then you should be careful, for instance.
So what I hear when I'm listening to you, I hear that you have an enormous experience in explaining these, let's say, typical IP terminology, this difference between product and process patent and infringement detection, all these, these slang, these IP terminology. You can translate that perfectly into the mindset and language of founders and SMEs, and I think that is one of the most important gifts what is necessary. Because quite often IP people have the tendency to speak in their expert terminology, and then only people think they have understood what is said. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the opportunity.
I would like to take the opportunity to show you where you can find what Udo already wrote for us. So this is my webpage, Pro Forza, and here is the newsletter. And tomorrow, by the way, at 7 o'clock, the next newsletter will be published. And when you go here to the newsletter archive, you have here the third one. And in the third one, you find the paper from Udo. And when you go here to more, you can also switch to our blog. And here is the full article from Udo and explains you what's going on here, what happened. And of course, you can also subscribe here at the newsletter for the next one. And here you see what you will get tomorrow at 7 o'clock when you're already subscribed. So we have competition and cooperation, IP and sustainability, IP strategies and disruption, all with examples. Copyright in the metaverse was a big issue with Mango. Trade secret management from Donald O'Connell. So many different topics, which are, of course, free of charge. And you get that tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock if you like, which means you should subscribe to the newsletter. So for the moment, thank you very much, Udo, that you
thank you.
Cope all the technical issues which you had at home and with Wi-Fi.
It was stressy.
Yeah, you made it, and I'm very happy that we were able to do this show together. Thank you for being with us, and have a nice evening. And to all the others, Udo will be available in the after show at LinkedIn. So please, Udo, stay a little bit with us on LinkedIn. And when somebody like Stefan here has another question, write it in the chat and we will answer this evening to you. We are there and being happy to chat with you via LinkedIn.